There we go. Now let's find the right. There we go. That should be it. Here we are.
Matt,
Yep.
are we doing? Are we doing 300 questions with separate quizzes, or is it just one theme?
It's going to be the usual sort of theme. So there's going to be 3 rounds.
3 rounds. Thank you.
3 rounds. All right. So we are going to get ourselves started, and we start as ever with the sport round. The sport round this week, we are going to do some stuff about events that happen in London or that have happened in London. So it's going to have a bit of a London theme to it, sport round this week. So moving on to our first question. Our first question today is, in tennis, what is the name of the major tennis competition held in London every year? Is it A, Hackney? Is it B, Wimbledon? Or is it C, Croydon? In tennis, what is the name of the major tennis competition held in London every year? We've just been joined by a couple more people, so welcome. I hope we're all looking forward to it. We've started with question 1. So I'll give you a few extra seconds because we've had a couple of people joining a little bit late. In tennis, what is the name of the major tennis competition held in London every year? Is it A, Hackney, B, Wimbledon, or C, Croydon? That is our first question. A nice little picture of it there. I always have to be quite careful when I'm finding pictures of these things to make sure that the name doesn't appear in them. Because that would be a little bit too easy. And it's very difficult when you've got pictures of sports stadiums and things like that to make sure that the name of the stadium isn't there somewhere. All right, moving on for now to question 2. If everything cooperates. Question 2, in what year were the last London Olympics held? I say the last London Olympics because London has actually held the Olympics 3 times. But I want to know, what is the last year they were held? Was it A, 2004? Was it B, 2012? Or was it C, 2016? So when was the last time the Olympics were held in London? Was it A, 2004, B, 2012, or C, 2016? I remember it well, but I wasn't living in London at the time. Nice picture of Tower Bridge with the Olympic rings there. That's question 2. Moving on to question 3. The boat race is a rowing race held every year between Oxford and Cambridge universities. Which London river is it held on? So the boat race is a rowing race held every year between Oxford and Cambridge universities. But which London river is the boat race held on? We've got one more person joining us. We've got Ariana just joining us now. Welcome, Ariana. I hope you're looking forward to it. Don't worry that you've missed questions 1 and 2. We are going to go back and do questions 1 and 2. And at the end of the round, we'll just go back and we'll do a little reminder of all of the questions, just for people who've joined a little bit later. So don't worry that you're going to miss out, because you are not. Question 3. The boat race is a rowing race held every year between Oxford and Cambridge universities. Which London river is it held on? Question 4. There are 7 Premier League football teams in London. Can you name 2 of them? So these are teams that play in the Premier League, so not sort of lower level teams. There are loads and loads of football teams in London, but 7 of them play in the Premier League. I want to know the names of 2 of those teams. Can you name 2 London Premier League football teams? A bit of a think about it. 2 Premier League football teams. We want for that one. Question 5. Which sport is played at Twickenham? This is the last question of our sport round. I want to know which sport is played at Twickenham. And if you look closely at this picture, you will see that there is actually a bit of a hint in the picture. A bit of a hint in the picture there. Okay, so that should be that. So what I'm going to do now, just for the people who joined us a bit late, I am going to go back and do questions 1 and 2 again. So question 1, first question of the sport round. In tennis, what is the name of the major tennis competition held in London every year? Is it A, Hackney, B, Wimbledon, or C, Croydon? It is the major tennis competition held in London every year. A, Hackney, B, Wimbledon, or C, Croydon. Okay, question 2, moving on. Question 2, in what year were the last London Olympics held? The Olympics have been in London 3 times, but I just want to know when they were last held here. Was it 2004? Was it 2012? Or was it 2016? So what was the last year the London Olympics were held? Question 3, I think everyone was here for this, so I'll just briefly go over it. The boat race is a rowing race held every year between Oxford and Cambridge universities. It's held in London. I want to know which river in London it is held on, please. Which river is the boat race held on? I'm just turning off my DSC phone. I don't think we need that. Okay. Question 4, there are 7 Premier League football teams in London. Can you name any 2 of them? Any 2 Premier League football teams from London? Question 5, which sport is played at Twickenham? Which sport is played at Twickenham? And if you look closely at that picture, there is a bit of a hint. Look at either end of the pitch. That should give you a bit of an idea of which sport is played there, if you don't already know. So that's the end of the sport round. As always, if there's any of those questions you want to hear again, if there's anything you're not sure about, either just turn your sound on and let me know, or type it in the chat and I will go back over it if need be. So if not, if I don't hear anything, I will assume we're all good and I will move on to round 2. So hopefully we're all good. Remember, let me know if there's anything else that we need. Okay, seems like we're okay, so I shall move on. Round 2, this is all about food and drink. We like food and drink. I think I was quite hungry whilst I was writing the quiz, so I decided to do a round on food and drink. That's just before lunchtime. So, food and drink round. Question 1. Which country does pizza come from? Does it come from A, Spain? Does it come from B, Germany? Or does pizza come from C, Italy? So it's question 1, which country does pizza come from? And I'm really making myself want a pizza now. So it's probably a bad idea to be doing this. Does pizza come from Spain? Does pizza come from Germany? Or does pizza come from Italy? It is question 1. Give you a couple more seconds on that, and then we will move ourselves on. Okay, on to question 2. Edam, Parmesan, Gouda, and Wensleydale are all types of which food? And this picture here, this is a picture of where Wensleydale is made. I wanted to get a better picture, but this is the only one where there wasn't anything in the picture that made it obvious. All the other pictures I could find of the factories where these foods are made, it was really, really obvious what they were. So Edam, Parmesan, Gouda, and Wensleydale are all types of which food? I'll give you a little hint. If you've ever watched Wallace and Gromit, they love eating Wensleydale. So that should give you a bit of a hint as to what it might be. Okay, moving on to question 3. What is unusual about Turkish coffee? Is it A, it's colored green, B, it's actually a type of tea, or C, it is served with the coffee grounds still in it? And this on the screen here, this is a picture of the type of pot that you make Turkish coffee in. So what is unusual about Turkish coffee? Is Turkish coffee green rather than black? Is it actually a type of tea, and it's a sort of joke name, or is it served with the coffee grounds still in it? What do we think it might be? I have a special Turkish coffee pot in my kitchen that I brought back from Turkey a few years ago, which I make my Turkish coffee in when I have it, which is not all that often because it's very, very strong. So you don't want to have it unless you really, really need to wake up in a hurry when you have Turkish coffee. Question 4. If you're a vegetarian, what do you not eat? So if you're a vegetarian, what is it that you don't eat? That is question 4. In fact, I think that is pretty much a vegetarian meal on screen there. Can't see anything that would be non-vegetarian. Maybe I'm wrong. So if you're a vegetarian, there's a particular type of food you don't eat, and I want to know what type of food do you not eat if you are a vegetarian? All right. A couple more seconds on that. And moving on to our final question of the round. The full English is a type of what? Is the full English a type of breakfast? Is the full English a type of lunch? Or is the full English a type of dinner? So the full English is a type of what? Is it breakfast? Is it lunch? Or is it dinner? If you went into a cafe and you asked for a full English, what are they going to serve you? Are they going to serve you a breakfast? Are they going to serve you a lunch? Or are they going to serve you a dinner? Okay, that's question 5. What we'll do just briefly is we'll go back through those questions again, as we usually do. So question 1, in food and drink, which country does pizza come from? Does it come from Spain? Does it come from Germany? Or does it come from Italy? Which country does pizza come from? Question 2, Edam, Parmesan, Gouda, and Wensleydale are all types of which food? Question 3, what is unusual about Turkish coffee? Is Turkish coffee colored green? Is Turkish coffee actually a type of tea? Or is Turkish coffee served with the grounds still in it? Question 4, if you're a vegetarian, what do you not eat? If you're a vegetarian, what do you not eat? Question 5, the full English is a type of what? Is it a breakfast, a lunch, or a dinner? All right, that brings us to the end of the second round. As ever, if there's any questions you want to hear again, let me know, shout it out, put it in the chat, whatever you want to do. If I don't hear anything, I will assume we're all happy with round 2. All right, on to the third and final round we go. And as ever, our third and final round is general knowledge. General knowledge, get your thinking caps on. 5 good questions for you. Question 1, what is the biggest country in the world? What's the biggest country in the world? And this is a photo of a landscape from that country. So I want to know, what is the biggest country in the world? And it's not a trick question. It should be, there's no sort of funny business going on. So it should be just the straightforward answer. Moving on to question 2. What are the companies Airbus, Cessna, and Boeing most famous for making? It's a big picture of the Boeing factory just there. So Airbus, Cessna, and Boeing, what are they most famous for making? It's a particular type of transport. I'll give you a little clue. They make a type of transport. So it's something that moves you from place to place. What do those companies, Airbus, Cessna, and Boeing, make? Like I say, they do make some other things, but it's mainly this one thing that they make. I've just realized if you look carefully, there is actually a hint in the picture. I thought I'd managed to find a picture that didn't actually have any of the things they make in it. There is actually a little picture of the thing they make in that photo, if you can find it. All right, moving on to question 3. General, colonel, and captain are all job titles in which organization? So if you're a general, if you're a colonel, or if you're a captain, what is it that you do? Which organization do you work in? And there's a little picture here. This is a picture of a general. So which organization does he come from? Double points if you can tell me who that is, by the way, but that's quite a difficult question. It's not part of the quiz, but very, very well done to anyone who knows who that is. General, colonel, and captain are all job titles in which organization? Moving on to question 4. What is Lord Byron famous for? Is Lord Byron famous for being a poet? Is he famous for being a champion swimmer? Is he famous for keeping a pet bear when he was a student? Or is he famous for doing all of those things? So Lord Byron lived in, I think, about the 1800s. And he was a very, very famous man, and he's still very famous. What I want to know is, what was he famous for? Was he a famous poet? Was he champion swimmer? Or was he famous for keeping a pet bear while he was a student? Or is he famous for doing all 3 of those things? What was Lord Byron famous for?
I don't know, Matthew. I don't know.
Well, you can have a guess. You can have a guess. You worry. Have a good guess.
No, don't say, meet yourself, Rubes.
Don't have to say out loud, but if you don't know, have a guess. Have a guess, because there's another really interesting thing about Lord Byron that I will tell you at the end. So when we go through the answers, I'll tell you another interesting thing about him. And our last question, what does a cobbler work on? Does a cobbler work on hats? Does a cobbler work on shoes? Or does a cobbler work on gloves? So what is it that a cobbler does? Now, in modern times, they do a few things. You often find cobblers will cut keys. They'll make key replacements. They'll sometimes do little bits and pieces of other work. What I want to know is, what is it that they mainly do? Do they work on hats? Do they work on shoes? Do they work on gloves? What does a cobbler work on? So we're going to whip through those questions again, just quickly. Question 1, what's the biggest country in the world? Nice straightforward question. What's the biggest country in the world? We've got our, just to help us out here, we have our mascot, Harry the dog. Harry says hi to everybody. Everyone say hi to Harry. Yeah, there we go. What's the biggest country in the world? Question 2, here he is again. What are the companies Airbus, Cessna, and Boeing famous for making? What are the companies Airbus, Cessna, and Boeing famous for making? Question 3, General, Colonel, and Captain are all job titles in which organization? And like I say, very well done if anyone knows who this specific person is. I don't expect you to know that, but very well done if you do. Question 4, what is Lord Byron famous for? Is Lord Byron a poet? Is he a champion swimmer? Or did he keep a pet bear while he was a student? Or did he do all of those things? What is Lord Byron famous for? And our last question, what does a cobbler work on? Does a cobbler work on hats, shoes, or gloves? All right, that is our general knowledge round all complete. So if anyone wants to hear any further questions, please do let me know. If I don't hear anything, I will assume that we're all happy, and then we will move on to do the answers. All right, on we go. Going to go to the answers. So the answers to our sport round. Everyone ready to mark your bits of paper? Question 1, in tennis, what is the name of the major tennis competition held in London every year? That is Wimbledon. Wimbledon is the answer. Question 2, in what year were the last London Olympics held? They were last held in 2012. 2012 Olympics. 2016 was in Rio de Janeiro. 2004 was in Athens. And 2012 was London. Question 3, the boat race is a rowing race held every year between Oxford and Cambridge universities. It is held on the Thames. It is held on the Thames, so the main river of London is where the boat race is held every year, on a slightly quieter bit of it. Question 4, there are 7 Premier League football teams in London. You have to name 2 of them. You could have had any 2 from Arsenal, Chelsea, Fulham, Crystal Palace, Brentford, Tottenham, or West Ham. So well done anyone who got 2 of those correct. I probably would have written Arsenal and Chelsea. That would have been my answers. I think very well done to anyone who got Brentford, because you could have sat me here for a very long time. I would not have got that. I had to look these up. So any 2 of those 7. Question 5, which sport is played at Twickenham? That is rugby. And you've got a bit of a hint there because you can see the rugby posts at either end of the pitch. So it's rugby, home of English rugby. It's Twickenham. Moving on from there, answers to the food and drink round, which are making me hungry. Question 1, which country does pizza come from? It comes from Italy. Pizza comes from Italy. Question 2, Edam, Parmesan, Gouda, and Wensleydale are all types of which food? They're all types of cheese. They're all types of cheese. Question 3, what is unusual about Turkish coffee? Turkish coffee is served with the grounds in. So in normal coffee, it gets filtered out and it's just, a normal liquid. Turkish coffee comes with all of the coffee grounds, all of the little sort of gritty bits of coffee still in it. So you can't just drink it straight down. You have to drink it quite slowly so that the grounds mostly stay at the bottom. You still end up drinking quite a lot of them. That's part of the reason it's so strong. Served with the grounds in. Question 4. If you're a vegetarian, what do you not eat? You don't eat meat. Okay, if you're a vegetarian, you don't eat meat. Some vegetarians still eat fish, but you don't eat meat. Question 5, last question of the round. The full English is a type of breakfast. Sausage, egg, bacon, beans, black pudding, things like that. It's the full English breakfast. All right. Moving on to our third and final round, general knowledge round. Question 1, what is the biggest country in the world? The biggest country in the world is Russia. Russia is the biggest country in the world. Absolutely enormous. Question 2, what are the companies Airbus, Cessna, and Boeing most famous for making? You can see some pictures on the doors of the factory. You can see one just down there. They are most famous for making airplanes. You might have heard of the Airbus A380 or the Boeing 747, a couple of very, very famous passenger aeroplanes. Question 3, General, Colonel, and Captain are all job titles in which organization? That is the Army. They're all job titles in the Army. And this person in the picture is General Bernard Montgomery, who was a famous general in the Second World War, fought in North Africa. He was one of Britain's top generals in the war. The Army. Lord Byron, what was Lord Byron famous for? Was he a poet? Was he a swimmer? Or did he keep a pet bear? He did all of them. And he was disabled as well. So he's a world famous poet. He was a champion swimmer. He kept a pet bear whilst he was a student. And he was also born with a problem with one of his feet, so that he had a sort of differently shaped foot. So he was disabled as well as all of those things. Question 5. What does a cobbler work on? A cobbler works on shoes. These days, they mostly make keys and key rings, but traditionally, they always work on shoes. Right. Well done, everybody. Add your scores up for me. Write them in the chat. Let's see what we got.
I've got 12.
You've got 12.
Out of 90. I've got 12.
Well done.
90 out of 90.
Well done. Some difficult questions today, I think.
Are you going with Danny?
14, 15.
Or are you going with Danny? You go with Danny.
Some good scores there.
You're going? You're going?
16, 116. I'm not sure there were 116 questions. So that's
116 video.
I don't remember writing that many
90
questions.
out of 90.
Well done. Some good scores there. Just a couple of people still adding up. All right. I'm just going to... Well done, everybody. I'm just going to stop the recording